Good morning. Thank you for being with us here on this lovely morning and spending your morning with us. Grab a cup of coffee, and hopefully, we're going to be able to share some great tips with you today. I'm Trish Tigliotto. I'm with Paramount Pursuits, and today we're going to talk about 5 proven strategies to help you revitalize your town and support your small businesses. Real quick, a little bit about us. Um, as I mentioned, I'm Trish with Paramount Pursuits. Marcos and I started Paramount Pursuits about 10 years ago, actually 10 years ago this month. And our whole goal was to help revitalize main streets while at the same time supporting the businesses on those main streets and cultivating businesses so that they could open in the vacant buildings on our main streets. Why did we start these webinars? Because we want to share that experience through our business incubation program. We really dive in and work one-on-one with businesses to help them start and grow their business and make sure they have a strong, stable foundation and introduce them to resources and tools that they need to be successful. And what we thought is we did the same thing with main streets locally. We know that many organizations and municipalities that are trying to revitalize their downtowns, they struggle with the same things that we did. So we wanted to share this information with you. Over the past 10 years, we've helped over 700 businesses get started and grow. We've worked with 8 different main streets to help them revitalize their main street corridors, their commercial corridors. And we've launched 18 multi-year projects throughout 2 states. Again, we just want to share our lessons learned and help you solve these problems. Problems that we faced in helping to revitalize main streets. The towns we work with had very limited funding. They had a lack of specialized skills and resources. Think grant writing, social media expertise, the planning, right? Main Street planning. Those are some of the skills and resources that they lacked. Limited time, limited staffing capacity. We know that a lot of the towns we worked with worked in very tight budgets, and it's not like we could just raise taxes, right? We want to make sure that our community members are thriving as well. So that working within those time constraints and staffing capacity constraints and limited funding was always a challenge for the communities we worked with. Poor collaboration, right? You have a lot of stakeholders in the community, but getting them to sit around the same table sometimes could be challenging. And community apathy, or just a resistance to change amongst leaders in the community, perhaps business owners in the community, and just residents. Change can be scary, and those were some of the challenges that we work with. And hopefully, we could help share ideas today of how we were able, despite these problems, to see success. One of the things I want to tell you is we're going to talk about 5 tips today, but over the next 5 months, we're going to dive in deeper to each one of these tips. So today we're going to provide an overview, share a few resources, but we invite you to join us each month as we dive into each one of these individual tips. And at the end of the webinar today, I'll share the link so that you could register for the next one. Our number 1 tip, start with identifying and leveraging your town's unique assets. Sometimes when we think of the assets, we only think of, well, we have a park, or we have a historical site that people come visit, or we have an iconic business that people come to, or a cool, fun business like a brewery that people come to. We only think of those like bigger assets of parks. But what I want you to think of today is change your thought process on that. Identify those unique assets that are in your community. The right here, I mean, this is it. Your people, your residents are your most amazing asset that you have. Activate them, and you'll be amazed at the progress that you could see in your revitalization efforts. This one here, we're going to talk about, what are your historic landmarks, if you have any, right? Are there certain parks that people come visit? Are there like in the town that we're based in, Ambridge, we have a historical site called Old Economy Village and Old Economy. They come to this site to learn about history, to tour different historical buildings. That's one of your assets as well. The iconic businesses, the new businesses, the businesses that bring people from 10 miles away, 50 miles away. In the town that we're in, Ambridge, we actually have a few breweries that came in. So that became one of our unique assets, promoting the breweries. And they really did a good job at collaborating together. So I encourage you to look at, what do you have? Do you have antique stores? Do you have art stores? What can you piece together to count that as an asset? And then, of course, experiences. Like, what are the experiences that you have in your town? Do you have festivals? Do you have events? Really document and identify what these assets are and dig deep. Again, we don't want to just think about the parks that people come to. Dig deep to figure out what those assets are. Tip number 2, foster a strong sense of community. Organize collaborative events, right? In one of the towns we worked in, they have a car cruise every year that's very popular in Western Pennsylvania. So they would incorporate the local businesses in those events as well. They could sell food, they could sell their wares, and they really promoted those businesses throughout those collaborative events. Support local businesses. How can you support the local businesses in your community? Is it sharing events that they have? Is it encouraging local artists to show their wares, or musicians, having them come to community events? If you have any type of farmers market, really showcasing the local assets that you have. And then last but not least, create your gathering spaces, right? What are the gathering spaces that you already have? Yes, your parks, your plazas, your community centers. These are the areas that foster social connections and bring the community together. And not just your community, but your expanded community, and attracting those new people that you want to come to your town as well. One thing I want to point out here is these gathering spaces are not always build it and they will come. So a lot of times what we need to do is focus on, bringing the events to these gathering spaces so that we can activate these spaces and not just have a park that you spend a lot of money building, but no one goes to the park. So really find ways to activate these spaces as well. One thing I forgot to mention, please make sure if you have questions or feedback or experiences that you've had. We do have a lot of people who have worked in economic development or are working in economic development in this webinar right now. So if you want to share any of your expertise or tips as well that build upon what I'm sharing with you today. Tip number 3, embrace digital marketing and technology. And let me just tell you, this can sound super scary. I myself went to a Main Street conference several years ago and sat in on a session that was about social media marketing for towns. And this speaker really just scared the heck out of everyone that was in the room. She literally said you needed to be on every platform in social media. You need to be on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. And she said that you should post 21 times a day on TikTok. Everyone in the room's faces dropped because, as we all know, we don't necessarily have the time capacity or the budget or the expertise to do all of that well. So we'll share a couple of bonus tips here for you too. One of those bonus tips is take a look at using universities nearby if you have any, or it doesn't even have to be nearby. Now with the current work environment that we have, that we could work online, reach out and see if you could get involved in an internship program for a university to help you better market your town and your Main Street. So really developing that strong online presence through a user-friendly website, which sounds overwhelming as a town. Active social media presence, email marketing. Are you emailing community members to say, this is what we have upcoming? We have you have feedback from the community that they don't know what's going on at council meetings, but they don't show up to council meetings. When are the council meetings? You share that information with them. What events do you have going on? Feature a local business. Those are all great ways to do it. Even going so far as having an online business directory. What businesses are in your town so that you could attract not just new visitors, but that is a tool that can also help you attract new businesses to fill vacant storefronts for you. The other tip I'll give you, if you don't already have it, in regards to developing an online presence, if you don't already have a town hashtag, I encourage you to get one, and encourage your businesses to use it. So if they're doing an event, if you have a community organization doing an event, they can also use the town hashtag. Brings attention to what you're doing in the town, and also provides business owners who may be looking for to expand into a new town a way to see what your town's up to and what you're doing. And that digital online presence is really going to help attract business owners who are looking for that in their new location. Promote your local businesses on social media. I strongly encourage you to make sure that you are, Police Station Pizza is now open for lunch, or here's a lunch special for a diner that's in town. Really promote, as a town, promote the local businesses assets that you have. Offer digital resources if you can. If you have free community Wi-Fi, or can find a partner that will pay for free community Wi-Fi, even if it's just in the park, that's a great way to promote people going and using technology. List vacant properties. That was one of the biggest things we found, is there are a lot of vacant properties that have for sale signs, but people don't always know where to find that. The other thing we had in some of the towns we worked with is we had a lot of people who had their businesses listed for sale, but they weren't or for sale by owner sign in the door or in the window is what we considered listed for sale. So it's really hard to find that. If I'm a business owner across the state even that wants to expand into your community, how do I find available space? Is it easy for me to find available space? And having that online vacant property list is going to be really helpful for you. The other thing I would say, as far as offering digital resources, also job posting boards. Not only does that help your businesses when they're looking to hire, but it also helps community members. We want the community members to stay and really participate in the growth of the town. And having a job in the town you work in is a great way for them to stay. Having a job in the town that you live in is a great reason for you to stay longer in that town, buy a house in that town. And also looking at how do you attract visitors to town. If you have events, make sure they're on your town Facebook page. They're on your town website as well. Promote e-commerce. We all know in the past 4 years, the way we shop has changed drastically, right? We used to walk to downtown to buy something. Well, in order to keep those downtown businesses, we want to promote them using e-commerce to promote their business, right? And we want them to have a combination of e-commerce, but also foot traffic that is coming in. So that's another great way to make sure that your Main Street businesses still thrive, is that they have that good combination of foot traffic and online traffic. Provide businesses support, right? Provide the resources and support that your businesses need to thrive. If a business isn't thriving, you are about to have a new vacant building, and that's not what we want. So the more support you provide to the businesses in your community and the more resources you provide to them, you're really not only building loyalty from these businesses, but you're also ensuring their success, which ensures and contributes to your revitalization efforts. I encourage you to offer training and mentorship to both existing businesses and potential businesses who would be willing to relocate to your town. You need to nurture new businesses, right? You need to promote that entrepreneurial mindset and spirit in your residents so that they are encouraged to actually open a business in your community, in your Main Street corridor. What do I mean by training and mentorship? Um, we did a training session in one of the towns that we work with to teach business owners how to use social media collaboratively. So if Police Station Pizza is offering lunch and another business is hosting some kind of lunch and learn, people are encouraged to stop by, grab lunch, and then come over to a lunch and learn. So it's really a great way to get them as a community working together to promote not just each other, but also your town on social media and through events. But other training could be, listen, understanding your numbers. If one of your Main Street businesses does not understand their numbers, they're not going to survive. So again, you simply have another Main Street business building that's vacant, and that's not what we want. So providing that, understanding your numbers, how to build a profit and loss statement, how to get funding. Let's say you have a business that's on Main Street and they want to scale. We don't want them to go somewhere else. We want them to stay right where they are or relocate to another vacant building that you have in town. And how do we help them do that? Providing resources and training, right? We want to make sure that they are very aware of funding that can help them with expansion. Streamline regulations for zoning, permitting, and licensing. If I had a nickel for every time I heard the phrase, our town, fill in the blank, XX town does not support businesses. It's so hard to open a business there. They don't want new business. They make it as hard as they can. I'm sure some of you guys have heard these sayings too. And at the end of the day, you have a responsibility to make sure that these businesses are opening and they're safe and they're doing it according to your zoning and your growth plan for your town and your community, and that they are following all of the rules to do that. Make it as easy as possible for you. I know when we were opening one of our buildings, we went through the process and it was head scratching, right? We had to have architectural drawings and that was fine. We submitted the architectural drawings and they came back and said, well, you don't have fire on here. Okay, but that's not what the list that we had to have said that we needed. Our architect didn't know that that had to be on there. Or we had to have an inspection. They did the inspection, said that's great, but now you need a fire inspection. And you should have had that before we came out here. Well, it wasn't really clear in the process that the town told us about that that's what had to happen in the order in which it had to happen. So I encourage you, make it as easy as possible for businesses to open in your town. One of the towns we work with, we actually put together a bringing your business to our town packet that they could actually give out to businesses who came in and said, hey, I'm interested in opening a business here. What's the process? So it was really a clear-cut, spelled out process that they had to, or itemized kind of list of what an interested business owner needed to do in order to open their business. Really cuts out the back and forth, saves you time and capacity if you're working in the municipality or in the government office. And it also cuts down on that narrative that you're not supporting small businesses. And then create and share programs and resources. Again, let's go back to the problems that we face. We don't always have the funding to have programs. We don't always have the capacity to start new programs. It's really hard to start a facade program if you don't have any money for a facade program. So you don't have to do the heavy lifting by yourself. Sometimes it's just curating a list of those resources that you can share with these business owners. So maybe there is a countywide grant that they could apply for, or a regional facade program that they could apply for. I know we work with Huntington Bank a lot because they have a program that is specifically geared towards small minority-owned, women-owned, no American-owned, veteran-owned businesses to help them thrive and to help them scale and grow their businesses. And that could be a resource that you share with them. Hey, you're looking to bring your business here. Here's a list of resources that we have for you to grow your business. Last but not least, tip number 5, collaborate and build partnerships. I highly encourage you to form a local revitalization organization if you do not have one. And if you do have one or you're forming one, make sure you meet regularly. Sometimes that's every week, it's every 2 weeks, it's once a month. It depends on the capacity of your team and the volunteers that you recruit for this. This local revitalization organization could be made up of, and this is something we'll cover deeper in the webinar when we cover this tip, is it can be made up of residents and local nonprofits, human resources organizations that are providing, human services organizations that are providing services in your community. You could have local residents who just really care about what is happening in their community. And I want to make sure that if you're forming this organization, that you are inclusive in who's at the table. Invite everybody. But here's the other thing. You will be very surprised. We used to joke around and call collaboration the C word, because when we started working in one of the areas that we worked in, there were long-standing feuds. Someone didn't like someone because they stepped on their toes back in 1982, and they've never worked together since. So that C word, right? Collaboration. How do we get people collaborating? No wrong door. Thank you, Brian. I see that. It works when you work it. And that means if someone comes to you with a question, get them to the right place, right? Be supportive in helping them get to the space and the person and the resource that they need. I love that example, Brian. But highly encourage you to get your local organizations collaborating and engage with them. Dig deep here. You may have, Mary who knits sweaters for the homeless. Get her involved, because she is going to want to bring her passion and her expertise to what you are doing for your community. One of the last tips I'll have here regarding the building those relationships is dig outside of just your town. One of the things that we're seeing in the funding realm, the foundation realm, they want to see regional collaboration. For so long, towns, nonprofits have all acted in silos, right? Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And a lot of times what happens is they're competing for the same pots of money. They're duplicating efforts, and then the money's just diluted. By seeking that regional collaboration, you're really making your dollars go much further. Not only your dollars, but also your volunteers and those people who are passionate about helping your revitalization efforts. You're really bringing everyone together to work towards the common cause and pursuit of revitalizing your downtown. So highly encourage you to look outside of just your town and expand the radius of where you are bringing in support and focusing your efforts. So those are our 5 tips. As I mentioned, we are going to deep dive into each one of these tips in subsequent webinars. But I wanted to share with you some other tips and some bonus resources for you and how you could potentially do this. And some of the things that we've done that have been really successful in working with communities. Entrepreneurial Edge program. This is an example of one of the programs that we offer. And just so you know, I am going to share a link to this presentation as well. Actually, at the end, we'll email you some resources. The Entrepreneurial Edge program is really great. It's a program that supports entrepreneurs through mentorship, through digital skills training. Remember when I talked about if you could get everyone using social media and promoting the town and each other and what they have going on, it's going to be much better for your revitalization efforts. That's what this program contributes to. Heavy on mentorship, heavy on educational seminars, everything from human resources, to getting funding, to understanding your numbers. This program also builds connections. It Again, how do you get a business to stay in your downtown? They have a strong foundation and they're connected to the community. We work really hard on building those connections for these businesses so that they stay in your downtown. Really just building a team from. So this is one of the programs that has been very successful in helping build strong, stable businesses so that we have even stronger communities. Other programs we've offered in the past: Main Street Revitalization Consulting. If you feel you're in over your head, a lot of times that happens, right? If you're a town manager, you have to run the town. And a part of your efforts have to be to revitalization efforts, but you can't make that your primary job. Sometimes you have to reach out for consulting, and there are programs that could potentially help you pay for that service. We run a launch program. One of the things we found in Western Pennsylvania is that people really needed to expand their idea of entrepreneurship. It's not the Kardashians of drinking champagne on a yacht all the time. So we really dig in and show what entrepreneurship really looks like, and then provide resources to help them start their own business. Having a resource navigator. Sometimes you have resources in the community for entrepreneurs and business owners, but they don't know where to go to get them. Launch to Elevate is a program that helps people entering after being incarcerated. So that's a program too, if you want to help the segment in your community who needs a second chance and they need help. Leadership training. Absolutely important if you're going to have a revitalization organization, because you have people who are really passionate about their community, but they're not sure how to be a leader in their community. We did a community ambassador training that really expanded upon this, taught them about what's going on in the community and how to be a better ambassador for your community. Great training for you to offer. And then personality assessments and training, which all go into the leadership training. How to fund these programs: ARPA money. You all have ARPA funds. If you have not designated them yet, December 31st is quickly approaching. This is a great way to fund programs that I just mentioned. Community development block grant programs and funding, great way to do some of the programming we just mentioned. Local or national foundations will support these types of efforts. If you have a corporation, a corporate partner that you could potentially pull in to fund this. And then Community Reinvestment Act requires banks to invest in their communities. So if you haven't tapped into that as a resource, I encourage you to do so. I want to thank you all for being here today. I know you have busy schedules. That limited capacity is real, and we appreciate you investing your time today to spend your morning with us. Here are some contact information for us. And my email is on here, trish@paramountpursuits.com. If you have questions or want to dive in deeper to anything of the things that I've mentioned today, I encourage you to reach out. And then real quick, I will share with you the webinar that we're going to do in December. So I will drop a link in the chat if you could see that. On December 11th at 9:30, we're going to do a deep dive into tip number 1, which was identifying and leveraging all your town's assets for revitalization. So please enjoy the rest of your day. And we hope that you found value today. Thank you, Brian, for your amazingly kind words. And we hope to see you next month. Again, my email is trish@Paramount Pursuits. If you want to reach out in the meantime, we'd be happy to have a conversation. Thank you and have a great day.